The midterm elections kicked off in earnest with contests in Texas, North Carolina, and Arkansas yesterday. There was some confusion at the polls, and the results led to sharp words, a few upsets, and more questions about the elections still to come. A late night turned into an early morning in Texas.
We are not just trying to win an election. We are trying to fundamentally change our politics. And it's working.
State Representative James Tallarico won a hard-fought Democratic primary to be the party's Senate candidate in November.
Tonight, the people of our state gave this country a little bit of hope. And a little bit of hope is a dangerous thing.
Defeating Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who sent her supporters home early after a day of turmoil at the polls.
I have no idea of when we're going to get results, and I fully anticipate it won't be until tomorrow.
Rule changes in one of the state's most populous counties led to confusion about where voters should cast a ballot. A judge extended voting by 2 hours, but the state Supreme Court quickly stepped in to block the ruling, instead ordering late votes to be separated out and leaving questions about if they'll be counted at all. Crockett conceded this morning, and Tallarico now turns his attention to November, hoping to be the first Democratic senator elected from Texas in nearly 40 years. But who he'll face is still unknown.
We were on to the runoff.
As the most expensive Senate primary in U.S. history heads to a runoff. Republican incumbent John Cornyn, running for a 5th term, is in the political fight of his career, narrowly leading Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton.
I refuse to allow a flawed, self-centered, and shameless candidate like Ken Paxton risk everything we've worked so hard to build over these many years. There is simply too much at stake.
Paxton, the MAGA-aligned, scandal-ridden fighter who has challenged Democratic policies in court, turned his focus to his primary opponent.
After all the personal attacks, which there were many, and after all the lies, you listened to what John Cornyn was selling, and you weren't buying it.
The deeply personal battle will only intensify with a new onslaught of spending and efforts to gain President Trump's endorsement before Republican voters return to the polls in May. Across Texas, newly drawn congressional maps led to some big changes. Republican Dan Crenshaw is the first incumbent congressman ousted this midterm year, losing to State Rep. Steve Toth.
That was the White House, wishing us well.
In a test of strength for the president's MAGA movement, Crenshaw was the only incumbent in the state without Mr. Trump's endorsement. Other current lawmakers were forced into runoffs, including embattled Republican Tony Gonzalez, facing scrutiny after an alleged affair with a staffer who later died by suicide. A newly launched ethics subcommittee will investigate any potential wrongdoing. Gonzalez will face gun manufacturer and YouTube star Brandon Herrera in a district that includes Uvalde. Democratic Congresswoman Julie Johnson and former Congressman Colin Allred will compete for a safe blue Dallas area seat.
We are in first place tonight.
For two Democratic incumbents competing in the same district, a tight race remains undecided. Freshman Christian Menefee, in office for just over a month, holds a narrow lead over 11-term Congressman Al Green in Houston, but neither has reached the 50% threshold to avoid a runoff. Meantime, in North Carolina, a potential recount in the state's bluest congressional district, with Democratic incumbent Valerie Foushee leading her challenger by just 1,200 votes. And in the closely watched Senate race, both parties had all but cleared the field for their preferred candidates to fill the seat of retiring Republican Thom Tillis. Michael Whatley, the former GOP chair, promised to stand side by side with the Trump White House.
This election is bigger than a primary. This election is a choice between a conservative champion for North Carolina, who will be an ally for President Trump in the Senate, or a champion for the failed policies of the left.
While former Democratic Governor Roy Cooper made his pitch to moderate voters.
I'll be a strong, independent senator who will work with this president when I can and stand up to him when the people need me to. I will always put the people of North Carolina first, before politics, before party.
All setting up a high-stakes showdown in November as Republicans work to maintain their Senate majority.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.